Hello guys, my name is Gavin, and this will be a tutorial on how to make a password within the Blender game engine. And we're going to use this by essentially getting the keys that the user types out. So if I press an A key, it'll add that to a string. And we're going to have it so that if it equals the password, it's actually just going to quit the game. And if it doesn't equal the password, it will reset, and the player will have to retype the password. Alright, I'm just going to get started. So to start off, let's go from defaults to game logic and from Blender render to Blender game. And on our cube in the middle, let's add a string variable called inputs like this. Once we have that, I'm actually going to hit this I and then do game and then show debug properties. Add an always sensor. Click those first three dots. Add a Python controller and connect it like this. And what we're going to do is do templates, Python, and then game logic simple. And delete the portion that I've highlighted. Hit Control and scroll up on your mouse to make your text larger and rename the script as script.py and add this right here. Okay, what we want to do first is import a couple things from the BGE. So let's do from BGE import logic, comma, events like this. And inside of this, what we want to do is have a variable called key events equal to the logic.keyboard.events. So let's have key events is going to equal logic.keyboard.events like this. Now I'm going to print key events to the console really quick to show you something. Actually, for a demonstration, I'll just take this three dots off for a minute. Open up your console by doing window and then toggle system console. And if we hit P now, you can see it's going to print out all these random numbers that really, what these are essentially is the integer version of what the key represents. So the D key will be equal to a number, the A key will be equal to a number, and we're going to use these to add to our string variable. Alright, I'm going to full screen this again. I'm now going to take away this print line right here, and what we're going to do is have a variable called hit keys is going to be equal to, this is kind of going to look strange, so I'm just going to type it out and explain it after, but K for K in key events slash, and then what we're going to do, I'll actually make sure there's no space after that. We're going to do if key events K is equal to logic.kx inputs just activated. Alright, now this may seem very weird, but essentially what this is saying is that for every time we hit the key indicated by just logic.kx input just activated, this hit key variable is essentially going to equal a list of the object that we just hit. So it's going to be, you know, like a list of objects, and it'll say like something like 15 or 20 because that'll be the number representative. And I'll show you what I mean down here. What I'm going to do right here is print hit keys. And so if I open up the console again and hit P, and I start tapping, make sure these three dots are selected, sorry. If I hit P, you can see every time I click, it's going to make a list of a random number. And this number is essentially the number representative of what I just hit. Now you may be wondering, okay, that's great, but how do we convert that back to a character, or what it actually represents? Well, in the Blender API, if you go to game keys, bge.events, there's a section right here which is bge.events, events to character. So I'm going to type this back out, and what we're going to do is have print bg.events to event to character, sorry, events to character, and we're going to put hit key, and I'm going to put a 0 right here because it's the first item within our list, and I'm going to put true like this. Okay, so now that we have that, what should happen is if I hit P, hit keys like this. If I hit P, index out of bound range. Oh, okay. Sorry, I have to do one thing first. Just copy this line like this, so actually cut it. And what we're going to do is if there is something inside of our list, so if we do actually hit an item or an icon, we're going to have if hit keys is not equal to nothing. So if we do have an item inside to actually to represent as a character, we're going to paste this now. Okay, and if I take away this line like this and hit P, you can see every time I click, it's going to start typing out the characters itself. Okay, so now that we've converted this to its number form, or to its letter form, so its character form, what we are going to do is add it to our string. So what should happen, if I can drag this back in, is we're now going to have it so like that. We're going to have it so that whenever it's not equal to nothing, it's going to add to this input string we have here. So we're going to have own inputs is going to plus equal all this junk right here. And I'm actually just going to type it out again. So bg.events to character hit keys 0 and then true like this. Alright, I'll actually take away that last one. So we should see if I hit play now, every time I click, it's just going to keep adding to that string at the top of our screen. Now, what we want it to do now is limit it to a certain amount of characters. So what we're going to do is have a variable called user inputs is going to be equal to own inputs. Like this. And what we're going to have is let's say, if the user's input length, or if the length of our string variable is at least 8 characters long, it's just going to set it back to 0. So length or len of user inputs is greater than or equal to 8. Like this, we're going to have own inputs is going to equal just that. So it's just going to go back to the original way it was. So if I hit P and type out a bunch of times, you can see we can limit how long we want our string to be. Okay. What we now want to do is actually, let me try something really quick. Okay. What we now want to do is have it so that if our variable is equal to password, or if user input is equal to the string version password, so if user inputs is equal to all caps password, like this, we want to have bg.logic.endGame, like this. So it essentially means that we've tried to get our password to work, it worked, so now we're just going to quit the game. So if I hit P, I can do PASSWRD, and it's going to quit like this. But if the computer types, or if the player types out a random, or if the player types out something that it doesn't equal password, what we're going to do is have it print to the console over here. Prints, actually let me try something really quick. Yeah, prints not equal to correct password. So if I go back into our console and I hit P and then type out random junk, we can see it's going to print not equal to password every time it's not equal to the correct password. Alright. That's how that works. Okay guys, that is how you make passwords in the Blender game engine. I hope you found this useful. I will go over the script just for one more second since it is kind of a convoluted script. And that's understandable too. Okay, so we imported logic and events from the BGE, and we defined the key events as to equal this part right here, the logic.keyboard events. Then we had the hit keys variable is going to equal a list of whatever key we tap in, but since it's going to be KX input just activated, it's just going to be one key in that case. Then what we did is have, if our user has typed in a key right here, or if there is actually an icon or an item within our list, we're going to convert that to a character, so hit key 0, indicating that the 0 is this first item inside of our list. And we're going to add that to our own input game property string. And then we're going to create a variable called user input, which is going to equal that. And if the length of that user input variable is at least 8 and our password is not equal to the correct word or password, it's going to restart our password or set our password back to 0 in terms of the length. And if it is equal to password, it's just going to quit. Alright guys, I hope you guys found this useful.